What is Express? Express is a Node.js web framework that makes it easy to develop server-side applications. It will seem why an additional framework is needed if you can use a ready-made HTTP model which is in the Node.js API. However, Express itself uses the HTTP model too, but it also provides ready-made abstractions that make it easier to create a server, create server-side, logic, and processing of submitted forms, and so on. Since this framework is not in Node by default, we need to install it via npm install express. Great, now we have the ability to create. Let's get started. Here is an example of creating an application using Express. First, to use Express, you need to create an object that will represent the application. Second, Express defines a number of built-in functions to handle requests, one of which is apt-get. It handles HTTP GET requests and allows you to associate routes with specific handlers. To do this, the first parameter is a route, and the second is the handler that will be called if the request to the server matches the given route. Now, in order to start our server, we need to run uplisten with port. Now you can see what to do. Great, we started our server. Now you can go to your browser and see Hello Express. Nice. Request processing pipeline and middleware. When Express receives a request, that request is passed to the processing pipeline. A pipeline consists of a set of components or middleware who receive the request data and decide how to process it. To create a pipeline, an instance of the Express class has a use method that provides us with this functionality, and so we pass the request on to every use. Send response. A number of functions can be used to send a response expressed in a response object. The most common way to send a response is using the send function. This function can take a buffer object, a string including HTML code, JavaScript, object, or an array as a parameter. However, it is much better to define the HTML code in separate files and then send this file using the send files function. Define our HTML file and use it. It should be borne in mind that the absolute path to the file must be passed to the send file function. For this, using dirname, we get the absolute path to this current project and add the path to the file inside the current project to it. Send status. The send status function sends the user a specific status code with some default message. For example, let's send a 404 status code where it says the resource was not found. As you can see in the screenshot, sending a 404 status code also sends a not found message, but we might want to send some of more informative message. In this case, a combination of the status function can be used which also sends static files. Let's see how to send static HTML files to a user in Node+ Express. To work with static files, Express has a special component, Express Static, that points to the directory with the files. Create a public directory for static files in the project, where we'll add a new file page which we'll name about.html. As a result, the project will look like this. Now, let's modify the app.js file with Express static. Inside, we pass in the absolute patch to our directory with static files. Next, let's turn to our file about.html. Thus, we have made it easier to send static file. We can send what we want, Rows. As the first parameter, functions can take an address template, the request of which will be processed. The second parameter to function represents a function that will process the request at an address matching the pattern. Now, in wildcards. The address patterns used can contain a regular expression or special characters, like this. A question mark, mean that the previous character can appear one time or not. The plus symbol indicates that the previous character may occur or more time. Sorry. The asterisk indicates that there can be any number of characters instead of this character. And brackets. Brackets allow you to style a group of characters that might appear in a query. Forwarding. The redirect method of the response object is used to redirect. The patch parameter is the patch to which the user will be redirected. The optional parameter status sets the forwarding status code. If this parameter is not specified, the default status code is 302, which assumes a temporary transfer. Using this method, you can redirect both relative and absolute patch, including to other domains. For example, redirecting to specific patch is also not very difficult, but it's so important to consider how the redirect address is determined. Consider a redirect relative to the current patch from which the redirect is being made. Sorry, my mom here. For example, in this case, a redirection will occur from the home. Occur from the resource home to the resource about. That is relative speaking from home to about. Now let's look at a similar example. The code here, the resource home page, home bar, is also redirected to the resource about. But in fact, now it will not be about, but home about. That is, we seem to go up on level from house bar to home, and then about is added to it. If we need to redirect not relative to the current resource, but related to the root directory of the application, then a forward slash is put at the beginning of the address, like this, home bar to about. A few more examples. Redirection relative to the current address to the address of the sample level, like this. Okay, nice. Nice. And its last example. Forwarded to an address on level higher. Like this. Here is a redirect from home full bar to home about. Nice. We did it. And if you want, it will be continued. Thank you, my mentor, Vita, and goodbye. Don't kill me, please.